Brian Murphy here with Ben Goessling for TwinCities.com. We just finished watching the Vikings post a pretty impressive 36-22 victory over the Rams here in St. Louis. They improved to 8-6 on the season, only their second road victory of the year, but probably the most complete victory they've had of the season. Sets them up in pretty good shape, buys them another week of relevancy anyway in the playoff race that's tightening up, but also creating a little bit of separation now. Sounds like right now, heading into the late Dallas game, the Vikings are sitting in the number 7 seed, only one spot out of the wild card hunt. They got Houston next week, very tough game on the road, but you know, all things considered, about as well as they can be positioned at this point in the year.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they're tied with the Giants, and they could end up tied with the Dallas Cowboys if they win later today. But yeah, they're certainly in a situation now where they have a chance. I mean, they have 2 tough games at the end of the year, and they would currently be behind the Giants in a tiebreaker scenario based on their conference record. I think they would actually end up behind the Cowboys as well if the Cowboys win later today. But I mean, the Giants lost 34-0 today. They show that they're very vulnerable, and the Cowboys have shown they're vulnerable. So, I mean, the assignment the next 2 weeks is about as tough as you're going to get. But if you win next week, the Packers clinch the division today. It's possible they won't be playing for as much in Week 17. So you have to keep yourself in the mix, and that's what the Vikings did today.
I mean, they got out really early on the Rams, jumped on them quickly, built up a huge lead, and really coming out of the game feeling pretty confident about themselves. Of course, the biggest story of the game, as it has been all season, is Adrian Peterson, 212 yards on 24 carries. He's closing fast on 2,000, and he's got Eric Dickerson's 1984 record of 21:05 certainly within his sights. Just another beast of a performance today.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 runs you're going to see over and over, obviously, are his 82-yard touchdown and a 52-yarder that kind of beat the Rams back a little bit when they created some momentum there later in the game. And on both of those, the 82-yarder was a draw against some of the blitzes they've been running, but the 52-yarder in some ways was almost more impressive because it looked like it was going to be a play that went for nothing, and it was almost solely him creating something out of nothing and being able to bounce it outside. And really, other than those 2 runs, the Rams did a decent job. It's funny to say that when he ran for as many yards as he did, but this is a guy that even if you do everything you can do against him, he's still going to find a way to get his yards. And I don't know.
He's a home run hitter.
I mean, the numbers were, the number of yards he had to get to Eric Dickerson looked daunting coming into this week, but now it's starting to look more doable, and it's kind of hard to bet against him at this point.
All he needs is about 146.5 yards average over the next 2 weeks. Again, a very tough Houston defense. Packers at home. He put up 200 on him a couple weeks ago, so anything's possible right now for Peterson and the Vikings. So should be an interesting final 2 weeks. What do you expect?
Well, I mean, I think next week, obviously, they've got a tough assignment going down to Houston, and a team that, as we mentioned, is tough to run against. But if they're able to get up early like they did today, this is a team that's built to play from ahead. I mean, if they can get into that situation where they can let their pass rushers loose a little bit. We saw a few more blitzes today than we've seen from them most of the year, and they showed that they can control a good running back in Steven Jackson, which is an encouraging sign for them. They'll have to do it again next week with Arian Foster in Houston. But yeah, it's going to be a tough place to go, a tough place to win. But if they do that, I think all bets are off in Week 17. If you've got your rival at home with a chance to go to the playoffs, should be fun.
And they ensured themselves to not have a losing season after 3-13 and 6-10. They can finish no worse than 8-8. So we'll talk to you from Winter Park this week. For Ben Goessling, it's Brian Murphy.